was a man stuck in a house. I wasn't a veteran anymore. My name's Mark Hatfield. I'm a 17-year serving veteran for Infantry Regiment of the Royal Regiment of Fusiliers. I got to the rank of sergeant, and leaving the army, I found that didn't really matter. I was a young lad from Salford. I left school, no education, just hated life day to day. All I was doing every weekend was getting drunk. So then one day I just woke up and went, I'm going into Manchester, and signed up. My first posting was Germany, Minden, Germany, which was during what they called the Cold War then. From Germany, I went to Northern Ireland. At the time, I loved it. The adrenaline, we were doing what we were trained to do. In the sporting industry, they get the adrenaline from sport, from achieving the goals. Well, it's the exact same in the army. And if you're not achieving that goal, if there's nothing at the end, then there's no adrenaline. I was told I was getting made redundant after the Gulf War. 18 years training to do that, but they don't retrain you to come back in Civvy Street. I didn't know nothing about bills, painting walls, decorating, having a family. I was taught to be a soldier. I went to apply for a house when I left. Told them I had 3 children at the time. I was an ex-soldier, served my country for all these years. And they says, and my biggest injuries was my psychological. My first 30 years of me leaving, I had, on the last count, 74 jobs. But what it was helping was my PTSD, my anxiety. It was making me forget that I had it, work hard. But then you get to an age where the anxiety, the PTSD takes over. Your body becomes weak. You don't want to tell people what you've seen, what you've done, too many questions. I was happy with staying at home, a can of beer, my phone, and a dark room. I was at a stage where I couldn't even talk to my own kids. I was ashamed of what I'd become. I was a man stuck in a house. I wasn't a veteran anymore. I was a wreck. Part of therapy of PTSD is bringing these problems out, facing them, which was the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life. But 2 years down the line, I can hold my hand on my heart and say, I'm a proud veteran. And it's because of organisations like Sail Sharks, Welcome the Wounded, and the NHS have given me this. They turned my man cave into my home again, basically. Because it was a cave, it's somewhere I locked myself away. One of the hardest things I had to do again in my life was getting out and meeting people. And when I arrived at Sail Sharks, was the first time I ever met Eddie, was Sail Water Park. It was a beginning. It was a start. The expression I use now, it's a baby step. Every veteran's different. Every veteran has his own story to tell, has his own injuries. But what I got was, eventually, I had that trust that I could talk to Eddie, Emily, and say whatever I wanted. And they didn't bat an eyelid to it. They didn't look at me as I was stupid or, who's he think he is? And that's the big thing. This all happened 20 odd years after I left the army. So I advise anybody, don't just wait until you broke down. Join the hubs today, as soon as you leave the army, because you find out things that nobody else will tell you. Medical records, housing problems, what he's allowed to claim for if he's on benefits. You're not taught this, but other veterans within hubs and other groups have their experiences, so it can help you. So it helps you to help them.